Boom.
So how do we introduce this crossover? Do you want to start, or would you rather do that? This is movies. Or how do you
This is
like to go about this?
Agitator, a podcast about the act of seppuku. And with me tonight, wouldn't you believe it? It's Hans. Hans is here.
Hello. Oh, am I supposed to be more Asian because of this?
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Ni hao.
You don't say anything. You just bow.
All right. It's a visual
and
medium, right? I
and
forgot.
tape your eyes even further.
I don't
So,
need to
yeah.
do. All right. I'm already that. I just have to close them a little bit.
All my homies look like that. I don't know what you and LowRes. Yeah. You gonna do the agitator intro?
That's so much to remember off the top of my head. I would have to read the script. Uh, I would need to take a look at it in order to get it and to nail it and not butcher it. Unlike you gave a perfect tee up for movies there. I think that was actually far more, not to bash Monkey Jones, we just did a crossover with him for his podcast as a keynote. Far more seamless merging of the two podcast titles there. So I will say that.
I
Yeah,
was
we've done that one, what, 4 times or five, six
Oh, we've done
times?
far more than that. I think at this point, we've done about close to 10 crossovers with Simmy and Jimmy. So this is our first crossover with, I think, any other show. This is a first. Well, it's a second, but it's a first.
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah. No, yeah, this is a special agitator movies crossover. We've been trying to talk Euphoria for a minute now. I remember when you first brought it up, the project I was working on, which was the construction project I had going, and that was back in December. So it's been a minute since we've been trying to get Hans to watch this show. And agitator, now we do whatever the fuck we want. So Euphoria is Japanese enough. We're just we got Hans here, so it's Asian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no Asians
that
in the show,
that's.
right?
No,
That's
I
the
was trying to
one
think.
ethnicity.
There's a total void of anybody who's Asian. There's not even like an Indian. There's not even a Trinidadian anywhere to be found. It's very white, black, Hispanic,
Yeah.
Florida.
Which is it wait, is it Florida or was it California? It's
Well, for
Florida?
the entire first season, I told myself it was Florida, and then I was like, is this some like random Long Island city, or is this Los Angeles now? So I went through like three different identities for Euphoria's location, and I'm still not sure where oh, I just Googled it. Israel. How could we forget?
It's in
It's
oh,
Israel.
absolutely.
Oh,
That's right.
right. Yeah.
That explains the lack
Yeah,
of Asians, I guess.
of course. Nobody's ever heard of a Jewish Asian before. Hans, are you sure
I
there's no
don't know.
Jewish in you somewhere?
There's a lot of uncircumcised penises in this show for it to be Israel. I don't know if that would fit. I think that's like one of the first things that I saw I was like, oh right, of course it's Simon, what's his name? The creator of the show is just, oh, it's always
Simon
penises.
Pegg and Edgar Wright. That's right. Your
Simon Penis.
favorites.
Sam Levinson. That guy loves throwing penis, and there's a lot of penis here in this
Who
show.
shows their dick on this show? It's been a while
Well,
since I watched
there's
the proper
A lot.
series. The last thing I
Oh
watched
yeah.
was the first special where they're sitting in the diner and you have Coleman Domingo and Zendaya talking. It's been a minute since I watched the first season, but I feel like the second season cleaned it up in terms of nudity.
Well, in the first one, there's a whole scene where they're in the locker room, and the guy from uh what's his name? You know, the guy that got famous,
Saltburn, right? The
Saltburn guy. Yeah,
yeah.
he's uncomfortable with being in the locker room because he doesn't like penises, and everyone's comfortable with their penis out, and then you just see like 20 penises there. And then there's another scene where a fat man pulls on his pud, while looking at the chubby girl, and you see his penis.
Oh
And
yeah,
there's another
that's
scene.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's just a bunch of scenes
Okay.
where like
His
awkward penises there. Yeah, yeah. It's just
I'm sorry, Hans. I didn't
just a lot.
memorize all the penises I saw on the show like you
Well, I
typically do when
just
watching
I
something.
just saw it. I'm still traumatized. I'm still like, why so many? Because I saw them back to back. So it's just I just saw like 50 penises today. Didn't need to do that. But yeah. So that's why
Well,
they're fresh in my
I
head.
am curious here. How deep into the series did you wind up getting? I can't imagine you finished all of Euphoria. Not that there's a lot.
I
There's
no.
certainly not a lot compared to other shows.
Well, I put 8 hours in. I think that that would suffice at least for being able to talk about it. I watched the first season, like the whole thing, back to back.
Okay,
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, yeah.
That's a
Um,
good,
um,
yeah. You're at least getting the gist of the show for sure. With second season, I feel like really I have a lot to say about second season, so I'll just spoil it for you. And
that's fine. I'm not gonna watch.
you
I don't think I'm gonna
I
watch it,
didn't
so
figure
you're good.
if it was like pulling teeth to get you to binge one day
Yeah.
of the first
Well,
one.
that one's also 10 episodes, right? It's longer than the first one, so or is it not, or is it eight and two
No,
specials?
I think it's eight is and yeah.
Oh, okay.
I felt like the second season ran a little bit long. No, all right, yeah, it's 8 episodes as well. For some reason, I thought it ran longer. Maybe there's a 2 hour episode or something in there, or I was just imagining the specials as part of season two. Which I'll say right off the bat, I think this is a show that improves certainly as it goes along. And I don't know if you have something positive or negative to say about that second season, Kelby, but it really ratchets up all of the violence, all of the craziness, and it tees up what Sam Levinson does. I don't know if you saw this show with The Idol pretty
Yeah.
well. And The Idol's another show where there was turmoil behind the scenes. They were originally going to have, um, oh God, what is the director's name who did Primer? I just did a show. I did Rare Candy on this guy, Shane Carruth. Shane Carruth's ex-girlfriend was hired to show, run, and direct the series. She wasn't doing anything interesting with it, so Sam Levinson was like, "Yeah, I wrote this thing, I created this thing. You're fired. I'm stepping in. I'm directing the rest of the episodes." He does the same thing with Euphoria. I don't know if you guys noticed. As of like season two or so, he just goes on a marathon of directing. You don't, and actually, it might even start during season one, where all these guest directors who come in are no longer being hired to direct. It's just him helming the series. He's clearly the one streamlined vision behind it. And I thought this series manages to do everything that The Idol was going for a hell of a lot better and more subtle. And there's really nothing subtle at all about Euphoria. So that should tell you. That should really test your palate for The Idol.
Yeah, no, it does have an exploitative feel to it, but that word didn't pop into my head about Sam Levinson's work until The Idol, which that's when I was
Mm,
like, oh, he's doing hyper stylized exploitation shit. But I
yeah.
didn't realize that until, and I watched Euphoria first, so it is, I get exactly what you mean, that it's like, no, it's not subtle. Like you could call it exploitation, but it creeps up on you in that way. Was Hans, was your resistance to it the same as your resistance to watching anything, or was it just that my I it took me a while to get around to it because everybody was like, "Oh, it's hot teens fucking." I was like, "Why the fuck do I want to watch that?"
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, the whole
Well,
narrative behind the show was,
yeah.
oh, this is pedophilic. They're showing teenagers having sex. But isn't that just like every movie in the 1980s?
Mhm.
I don't know. I
Well,
think
that's
there
that.
was a lot of hysterics about it in retrospect that probably were not warranted. Sorry to cut you off there, Hans.
Well, I think my resistance to it probably has more to do with what you just mentioned. Actually, the movies from the high school movies from the 80s, the 90s that I grew up with, where the at least my perception was before I started watching it, that oh cool, we're gonna be following the people that I'm supposed to hate, or at least that I grew up watching movies where I'm supposed to be rooting against them. You know, the druggies, the all party people, whatever. I was always rooting for like the dorks and the nerds in those movies, and now this show that's all about them and like what I thought it was, that it was just like elevating and glamorizing the whole, we're partying and we're reckless and shitty teenagers. That's what I thought it was, and that's why I was kind of like, do I really want to sit and watch hour episodes of just teenagers acting shitty and like facing no consequences, because that's what I thought it was. So that was always kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't really have anything that appealed to me. But then after watching the first episode, I was like, oh, okay, so that's not what it is. All right, I okay, I get it.
I forget how that first episode goes too, because I remember I was hooked enough. It's hard to I don't really get into TV unless it can first episode, I'm like,
Grab
okay,
you.
this is
Yeah.
interesting. So it had to have hooked me in some way, but I remember it getting like really amping up. Like as it goes along, it's
Mm.
like, oh, it gets better and better. Uh what was that first episode? Do we get
So the first episode, you get a lot of Rue, who's Zendaya, her backstory and how she became a turbulent teenager who looks unshowered in every single scene of every episode, and then
oh
in the
yeah.
Spider-Man movies too. And you're also introduced to Jacob Elordi's character's father, who is a little creepy, a little weird. He's
Mm.
filming his gay interactions, gay in quotations. We don't want to offend certain peoples, I guess. People who play dress up, he's sleeping with them in hotels and he's filming them, and that's his kink. That's his thing. And
People
I
who
think it
play
sets up.
dress.
Yeah, we've all played dress up once or twice in our right, Hans?
No.
No, you might be a little tall.
We're
I
wearing
don't know.
mommy's shoes. Yeah. Just wearing mommy's shoes.
And you're introduced to his character, Jacob Elordi's character, Nate, and his weird dysfunctional family relationship, I believe. But we really get into all of that more as the season progresses, and how that creates this very strange romantic triangle slash quartet between Nate, his father, what's the Hunter
Jules.
Schafer character? Jules, and then also Zendaya, who becomes
Jules.
involved with Jules later on in the season.
Yeah, I thought that little love quartet was great actually. And yeah, because so dad is fucking the trans girl in the hotel, and then that episode, the carnival episode or the fair episode where
Yeah.
they have something that's kind of a staple throughout the show, but that I guess is more noticeable in that episode because it all takes place in one central location, but like the hypercuts and the what tracking shots and like this constant movement of the camera is a lot more noticeable there, where you're following all these characters congregating around the same the county fair or whatever.
Hmm.
And that being the central tension of the whole thing, that was a highlight episode of season one for sure. that's
Yeah.
where that's where I was
The camera
all
never
in.
it never stops moving, really. It just goes from one character to the other, and it's just the episode flows really well because it's just there's a lot of movement with just the camera, and how each story just goes into another. That episode is great. I like how at least with the first episode, it's just like a little pinch of each character just being bad or like doing something that you're just kind of like, oh fuck. Like your introduction to, I don't think any introduction that you get from any of these characters is good, or like that by making it negative or weird or bad, let's say the introduction, it's more interesting, or it makes you wonder more about the characters that you see them just introduced doing whatever. So I really like that setup that they did on that first episode, where it's the first episode, you already see the dad having sex with this trans girl, and then she goes into the party, cuts her fucking arm to scare the guy. So like there's a lot of things that happen here that that are very like physical and like violent, that are a nice setup for an episode one, that you usually don't expect that for a setup episode. And it does a lot with it right from the start.
Yeah, I'm remembering all of that now that you bring that up. That's crazy. That was just one episode. Actually, I figured it had to have been when I was going in for a little refresher. I forgot that it was only 8 episodes per season because it seems
Mhm.
like a lot happens. And I mean, it is because the camera never stops moving. Like there's so much momentum to this show. There's just constantly this character, that character, this character, that character, and there's a whole lot of them. But you're seeing them in like these little 15-second, 30-second scenes, and it. I love that shit. I mean, Belly is one of my favorite movies, and I thought of that while watching this high school drama on
They
several
should have got
occasions.
DMX to narrate the show.
Yeah.
AIDMX.
Yeah, get the DMX hologram to come in. A day in the life of this bitch.
This bitch high again? Wait, no, this bitch, because his voice, right?
Yep.
uh I think yeah, that's definitely something that I wasn't expecting. So I know that I don't know if Sam Levinson gets as much hate as the guy that did the American Horror Story, because I feel like showrunners, they're probably two of the most, let's say, successful TV front runners, showrunners that we've had in the past 10 years when it comes
Mhm.
to shows that have done something, or at least like that American Horror Story. I don't like any of them. I think those shows are kind of shit. But at least they opened up that genre of like safe horror on TV, let's say, because even though it tries to push boundaries, it's always kind of tinted in a very, safe. We're pushing, but not really pushing the boundaries as much as what Sam Levinson seems to like to do, which is just pushing more than I guess you're supposed to. But I
Well,
think there's
d-
there's some.
do you think
Oh,
that the American Horror Story series introduced that into the mainstream? Because I think that was already there. I think that was just the nature of the horror movies of the aughts, and I mean, he straight up stole from about four or five of those classic horror films for that first season of American Horror Story. And
yeah.
I mean, I think it's all a hell of a lot worse now. I definitely think American Horror Story is responsible for it being this new pop culture staple that's taking the place of comic book films. But anyway,
Yeah, no, I'm not a huge fan. Like you said, it's just taking from a lot of other properties, not really a lot of original thought, even though each season is supposed to be its own contained thing. But after seeing one season of this, I remember, I think I gave American Horror Story like three different seasons a chance, and I think the only one that I finished was the one that had freaks, because I love freaks. So I was like, oh, cool, monsters, human monsters, that's great. But every other season, I feel like it starts with interesting ideas, and then by episode 4, it's already lost itself. So this show, especially visually speaking, I feel like it's a whole lot better than any other season that I've seen from American Horror Story. I just wanted to compare those two because from what I can remember, I don't know if there's any other shows that have had the success that these two have had in the past, I don't know, 10 years that people would talk about still, even though I don't know who's talking
well,
about
I
American
think
Horror
it's an
Story now.
apt comparison, especially when they're cultivating the same sort of demographic, right? With
Mm.
Euphoria, though, the writing, for the most part, is far superior. The only character I thought was weak or had any not well delivered dialogue actually was Rue. I
Yeah.
wasn't impressed with Zendaya, especially during the first season of Euphoria, which is crazy because I think she's great in Challengers. I think she's a very good actress, but on this show, she kind of, I mean, maybe this is a bit her character, but she's definitely a try hard in terms of, oh, I'm such a fuck up burnout. And that's her character she's embracing. So there's a little bit of that too, and maybe Sam Levinson is aware of that because when you take a look at The Idol, you know, that weekend character, the character's name is escaping me at the moment, but he plays this very self indulgent, egotistical cult leader who is so concerned about his image with others. And then at a certain point, it transitions into acknowledging that he's kind of a shitty actor and he's not cool, like he's not successfully pulling off the cool cult leader look and vibe and performance, and they lean into that and make it cringe on purpose and essentially make him the butt of many jokes. So maybe it's a bit of that with this Rue character too. I can't imagine that's the case. I think Sam Levinson is
Yeah.
enamored with Zendaya because he casts her in like everything he does. He did that Malcolm and Marie Netflix movie, which plays out the same exact way as the two specials of Euphoria. It's just two people talking in a private home, and there's clearly very limited. It's a COVID movie, you know. So I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but she is somebody that took some warming up to as I started to get into Euphoria season one.
Yeah, I liked whenever things would I only liked her when things would escalate to the point of being like over the top uh when you're talking about junkies is actually kind of realistic, but just the over the top screaming matches and breaking shit and like then I was buying in more than just the constant lazy eyes. I'm sweaty. I feel so bad that I'm fucking everything up. And now I'm gonna go do another bump. It's like, oh good God. If he did do it on purpose, I feel like, you know, I mean, that is a type of character that I do get tired of seeing depicted as cool. So it was
Yeah, it's
refreshing to see, yeah, I hate this junkie. Fuck this guy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a weird choice for your main character, right? Because I think looking at the character list, I think she might be the
the weakest.
weakest when it
Mhm.
yeah, when it comes to their background and shit that has happened to her and everything that each character has gone through, which they've set up great with giving them pretty much everyone half an episode, I think, or like a 10-15 minute introduction where we learn more about them and their background and what they dealt with since they were kids. I think her dad was a junkie and left them, and that's it,
No, no,
right?
no, no. He died of cancer or something. He died from something natural, if I remember right,
Yeah, because
or
they were
maybe a
taking
car
care of
accident.
him in the home. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
right,
was a
that's
tragic
true.
thing, and that pushed her into using drugs.
Taking his pills, his pain
Yeah.
pills, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, fucking. So she was sad, so she got into drugs, and then she just kept doing drugs. Yeah, it's not much to go for like a main character, especially when you have every other character that has such a more interesting backstory. It's a weird choice for your main guy, or your main girl, I guess in this case.
I
Because
also
even
loved,
following like the trans girl will be more interesting. It was more
oh
interesting,
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
like that short story of the uh being a little boy that's confused or whatever, and then
hmm
you know
And for all the
playing dress up.
flack for all the flack that Sam Levinson gets about being, controversial, culturally insensitive, whatever he gets flack for, mostly sex stuff, it seems like depicting sex and nudity is what he catches the most heat for, it seems like. He Euphoria does trans shit right, I think. I mean, I'm not trans at all, but it felt real to me. Like it felt genuine, and also played by a trans character. And Hunter Schafer's fucking great in it too. Uh,
hmm
yeah, Jules was one of the most interesting characters actually. Though I would argue that Rue is not the main character of Euphoria. This is a story about, and season two kind of helps confirm this,
hmm
Fez and Lil Ashtray, the drug dealing
You think
child
so?
duo. Yeah, bro, especially that
That
season
must
two
be why there's no
finale.
season three.
Yeah, because what else?
That
I mean,
story's
it's
over.
over. That's the Scarface ending. That's the Sopranos lights out. It's done now.
They really did crank it up. I mean, Hans, this is going to be. I know you're very
That's
excited to get into season two,
You're
but
gonna want to watch it after
they
this.
it ends in a massive shootout where the police conduct a raid and Ashtray and what is Angus Cloud's character's name again?
Fez.
Fez
Yeah.
wind up getting gunned down and he's dead. And so we only see Ashtray dying, but Angus Cloud is dead in real life, so he's
yeah, I
clearly
was gonna
done
say,
as well.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it gets very dramatic, and they also up Sydney Sweeney's character and fade out her black boyfriend, which everybody who likes Sydney Sweeney is like, good, you know. But they're they decide to pursue other romantic interests, like Nate, for example. It's like, oh, Jacob Elordi is having a massive career, and Sydney Sweeney's having a massive career. Why don't we just bring
Ah,
these two together?
wow. Convenient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, let's have them fucking in a season one, or no, an episode one party. They use that again, the centralized location. Sam Levinson is good at that. Uh,
Hmm.
but when it's more than two characters, I feel like whenever he can stick to one place, he seems to like doing that a lot. But when you have a whole lot going on, like a carnival or a party, he's really in his bag. Because that season two opener that's pretty much just at this house party was great with like Jules ducking Zendaya, like while they're in the same house maneuvering, one of those like, oh shit, like I don't want to,
Hmm.
I'm not ready to confront you yet. And then Sydney Sweeney and what's his face smashing in the bathroom with the little Latina chick on the other end,
Oh yeah,
like banging
Maddie.
on.
Maddie, I think
Yeah.
is her character name. It gets so intense. So Hans, essentially, this is how it plays out. They all go to a house party. Jacob Elordi is driving Sydney Sweeney there. They wind up having sex in the bathroom. Obviously, he had a pre-existing relationship with Maddie where they're very hot and cold. She's cheating on him with everybody, but he's also basically a sociopath. He's like a Bret Easton Ellis character that just fell into this series. And Sydney Sweeney's character has to hide in the tub while Maddie's using the bathroom, which is a situation I was once in as a teenage boy in my high school girlfriend's bathroom after taking a
Oh
shower,
no.
and I had
Were you hooking
no,
up with a
no
guy
clothing in
and
the
then
bathroom.
someone
Her dad
you're
came
making
home.
out?
Oh no, her mom came home and had to use the bathroom, and I had to hide in the closet. And I was an overweight, 190, 200-pound, naked, wet boy hiding in the closet and hoping she wouldn't have to get any toilet paper or a tampon or anything like that. And somehow I got out of that situation. But goddamn, I had to hold that door shut too because I was too fat. I was too beefy, too round.
Just
What
pretending
if
that it doesn't work. They go to, it just goes to
yeah.
open it. It's like, oh, this door. I guess I
Yeah,
forgot this door doesn't actually open to anywhere. It's one of those
What
it
about
could
the
have
very
been
guy that you
really
were
bad.
what about the guy you were making out with? Where did he go?
Ooh, hey. But yeah, that's the situation with season two, and it kicks off this new romantic pairing between these two characters, which I think are maybe the best. I mean, at least the best written characters for that season. They try to do a thing
Mm.
with Maud Apatow's character, Lexi, that I don't really think works. They try to make her this sort of, not like the narrator necessarily, but they try to position her into the person who's going to interpret, the events and be the person who speaks it. But then it gets disrupted because Sweeney, who's her sister, I believe, interrupts her play, which is a biographical depiction of her life at the high school, and gets pissed off and blames her for the relationship with Nate falling apart. So it winds up becoming this giant twister of teenage drama that ends ultimately not at the high school in a very Scarface way with Fez and Ashtray.
Is Maud Apatow the best friend that pees for Zendaya?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The
It's just
straight lace.
boring. It's gonna be
Yeah.
boring, yeah. So what they made
The
her
most
make her a
boring
party
character
girl
in the
for
series.
yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
well. I wonder if the Apatow name has something to do with her being a bigger character in season two.
Mm.
Hmm.
I'm almost certain it does. I don't think anyone would be if that character was played by somebody who was not an Apatow, they're not getting their own episode, is my guess.
Is
I think
Judd
I
a
think her
producer or
character.
something?
I don't think so. But
Because that
he's
would be
worked
weird.
as a staple at HBO for the longest
Well,
time. Remember, he did the Pete Holmes Crashing TV show. He's got roots at HBO, so that almost
because like
certainly had to play some part.
I'm assuming she does some horny shit on the show, right? Because that's what every teenager does. So if he's a producer here, that's weird. Just a
No, no,
producer on a
no.
show where a kid.
She's
No.
the straight-laced dullard who doesn't get into anything, but she's kind of got a very, not even like a fling, but just a crush on Fez towards
Mm.
the middle of the season. Or actually, maybe it starts in
Yeah,
the beginning,
yeah,
and she
no,
just kind of romanticizes him.
they start that trajectory off the jump with that same opening party episode because she's
Right.
kicking it with him and is all like, you're really like deep and stuff, and like you really do these like bad things and whatever. And yeah, that's kind of a lens, putting a different lens on Fez, which we've already seen ourselves because
Hmm.
yeah, we know this character is a good-hearted person who's just in, but she's the one saying the quiet part out loud. And
Right.
her character doesn't really work in that way, but the play itself I thought was pretty fun to watch.
I agree. And it unfolds over, I think, the last two episodes of the season and just becomes this dramatic Jerry Springer-esque event that blows up in Maud Apatow's face, which is very amusing to watch. Um, Hans, I know you obviously had your own preconceived notions before going into Euphoria. Was there anything that lived up to that that made you just shake your head and get frustrated and want to shut it off?
Uh, I had a couple of issues with some decisions. I don't like that the Nate character turned into like Patrick Bateman for a couple of episodes, where he just shows up and he's like, you raped the girl. You fucking rape her. Did you rape? And then he beats the fuck out of him, and then he sends him to the hospital or whatever. He's all fucked up. And then later he shows up all evil character, like sitting evilly on a chair in the dark while the guy wearing like a neck brace or whatever. And he's like, now you're gonna go to the cops and tell them what you did. And he does. And I'm just like, why? Like, it's too much. He's a fucking high school kid. Like, it's too much.
What?
He's
What are you
beating up
talking
a
about?
20.
They do this on YouTube now. Haven't you seen those Native American guys in Canada who do that every
Yeah.
single? And they're like, now call your wife and say you were
Yeah, and
about to
tell her.
fuck this 5-year-old, and it's actually a grown man. They do that. They get that
Yeah.
evil, and I love that pushes it that far, and he is as bad, if not worse, and just kind of he doesn't care. He just
Yeah.
compartmentalizes that. That's a different part of himself.
That's
I
a
don't know.
true
It just,
high
I felt like it
schooler.
was a,
That's a
yeah,
real high
it's
school
just it's
sociopath.
it's a
Yep.
little too much. He's like beating him on the ground and he's like, what? I didn't rip, and again, and I'm just like, fucking, he's like 17 and this guy's like 22, 23 or whatever he says. It's just like, yeah, that bit bothered me at first. One of the things that I noticed a lot was that they use a lot of montages, like a lot of montages just to move
Mm.
things along and to tell a story, which at first I thought was kind of okay, but then I think the style of filmmaking here makes that work and makes that not stick out as much, because then it just kind of blends with the rest of the episode because it's got such an interesting visual style where it stopped bothering me after like episode 3. But that was one thing that I did notice where it's like, oh, they're doing a lot of storytelling with montages and short flashbacks and things like that, that I feel like most episodes had at least one of those. That was pretty much it. I didn't really have a lot of issues with it, which is surprising because I don't really watch a lot of TV. But I think that was the bit. Oh, I did like and I wish there was more of this when the show just decides to have fun with itself. Like the Zendaya bit where she's giving a lesson in high school about how to take a dick picture. Like those little segments that are kind of like not attached to the story, but it's kind of like a storytelling telling thing where we're gonna hear what she has to say, has nothing to do with anything else, but it's just like a little 2-minute thing. There's another one later where she's like playing like a detective, like a Morgan Freeman type of detective thing. And she like talks to her mom and she's wearing like that detective thing with the weapons here. So like whenever the show decides to have fun like that, I enjoyed it. I wish there was a little bit more to it, but it was like a little a little side note from what we have going on, which is a lot here, that I appreciated when they did that on a couple of episodes. It's just decide to have fun with itself.
Yeah, it has that, since it has that hype Williams style, like everything you said with the montages when it breaks the fourth wall, when it gets, you can't even call it magical realism because the show feels like a music video.
Mm.
So there's a lot of, like, it's kind of a music video thing whenever it does things like Zendaya's crashing out at a party and the camera's going upside down. She's crawling up the walls like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's like, because you're not taking it literally. The visual aesthetic of the show is presenting an emotional tone constantly. So you just go, oh, this is just what this scene feels like. None of this is
Yeah.
literally happening.
Right. Yeah, I think we've covered almost all of the major characters except for one. And Hans, you kind of brought her up in passing, but the fat girl, the cam girl, I think Sam Levinson had, he's done such a good job at encapsulating these real millennial and I guess Gen Z teenage archetypes and condensing them into 2D. Not all of them are 2D. Some of them are very multidimensional, but really 2D characters. And I think she's one of them. The low self-esteem. Oh, these weird guys. I guess they want to fuck me, but they just want to like have a hole to put something in for a second. They don't actually like me, and this is gonna fuck with me. And now I'm embracing my extra weight, and I'm a dominatrix for men online, even though that's illegal because I'm a 15-year-old girl or whatever.
Yeah, so
And
they're
then how
paying me in
she
crypto and
yes, yeah, yeah. But moreover, how she then treats her first boyfriend and the way that she looks for an excuse to break up with him by negating any sort of responsibility and making that decision on her own. And she tries to make it a thing that he's doing. Like, oh, so you're just, oh, you're being an asshole. Oh, so you want to break up? Is that what you're getting at here? Like, she doesn't want the responsibility of being the one to do that. I think it plays out in such a way that is I wouldn't say firsthand familiar, but is definitely something that I've heard renditions of from friends, specifically maybe a former guest of the Agitator podcast, one Kenny Dorsley. I've heard quite a few of those types of stories from him. So I really like how that was portrayed in the series. Although I'm not a fan of her character on the whole. She was not somebody I found to be especially interesting in the grand plot of things because you do have so much going on. And I do think the season that follows does a pretty good job of consolidating who we want to follow as characters. And then keeping a couple of outliers like the Maud Apatow character who didn't really get the spotlight at all in the first season. And then also sending off the Ashtray and Fez characters because maybe they wouldn't have much to do in terms of story now that we're advancing out of high school with these characters. So, yeah. Any thoughts on her from either of you two gentlemen?
I thought
I
I
Go
thought
ahead.
she
Go ahead.
I thought she played it well. There was a weird undertone to that character that I I wonder, like, to me it made more sense hearing that she and Levinson didn't really get along or see eye to eye about what this character was supposed to be. And I don't know if that's the undertone that's kind of felt that's I don't even know what to call it, an insecurity or a I mean, obviously she's an insecure character, but I'm glad she got phased out a bit in the second season, honestly.
I
Just
didn't know she had a hard time with Sam Levinson. What's the story there? Was it just different interpretations of the character or
Yeah,
disagreement in
that's it.
creativity?
That's it. She was
Uh,
like, she was like, I don't think, I'm not interested in this just being like the fat best friend thing.
God.
And Levinson is like, nah, you're the fat best friend. And they're both just kind of like, well, all right, then you just won't be around anymore.
oh,
The balls.
How
What did she do
unfortunate.
before Euphoria that she has the balls to say, well, listen, I think, you know, it's just like, all right,
Hmm.
shut up. Who cares? No one's asking you.
Is
What do you
she
think? Just do what I tell you.
is she America Ferrera's sister or something?
Uh,
Um,
she's a model?
she is a Ferrera.
That's
That's about the gist of my
yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah, that's all I saw that and I was like, yeah, y'all kind of look alike. She was the fat best friend in other movies when she was
Yeah,
around. So
that's right.
keeping the family tradition alive. I did think her shit was pretty fun. I thought the cam girl shit was funny. I thought the relationship shit was yeah, true to life from what I mean, I've heard a lot of those stories too. Um Cringy to watch, but kind of on purpose.
Definitely. Hans, you probably didn't get into the two specials, did you?
No. No, especially after what you said. You said that they're just about two people talking. It was just like, I'm not gonna, I'm all right. You know, the dinner
You're
with
not into that?
Andre,
You don't
but
like My Dinner with
worse.
Andre?
Yeah, I'm all right. I like that one. I'm sure it's not as funny. I'm sure the Euphoria one is not as funny as my dinner with Andre. So no, I
Now, the diner one I thought was I think both of them are completely unnecessary, but I think the diner one with Coleman Domingo as the Muslim sponsor having dinner with Zendaya and then him going out to actually I really like that one actually because I like that character. I really like that actor. Coleman Domingo is great.
Yeah,
Uh
he's fantastic. He's got the best voice ever. When he popped up in the Candyman remake, and I remember thinking, there's a lot of problems with this movie, but this guy's voice is bumping this movie from like a 5 to a 6 for me.
is
And he
he a
plays like
main
the.
role? I haven't seen the remake yet. Is he
Do you want to be spoiled on it? Because I think if I remember right, he winds up being the guy who brings Candyman back, but they play it off in the beginning as, oh, I was pedophiled by Candyman. I got molested by the Candyman, and I run a laundromat now. And don't go into the projects; they're haunted projects. And then it turns out to be a trap because he's bringing Candyman back from the dead or something. So I don't know. It was something like that. And I'll be honest, I didn't mind the Candyman remake for as much shit as people gave it for being like race baiting or woke or what. I thought it was all right.
wasn't that the did y'all see Lil Woods? Wasn't that the Little Woods
No.
director? She was
hmm.
some chick. I think it's the same one. Little Woods was interesting. Kind of a mumblecore Canadian border drug peddling movie about sort of blue
Yes, it's
collar
the same director,
angel.
Nia Costa.
Yeah,
I think she
yeah,
just
yeah,
Yeah,
got
yeah.
right.
hired for one of the new 28 Days Later sequels that they're doing.
I think she might be the
Yes.
one who ruined True Detective. No, that's another woman. Never mind.
No, no, no. That was a Latin woman who directed True Detective, if I remember right. But that
Yeah, I don't think.
did you wind up writing out all of True Detective? I saw that your co-host gave at least the first episode a pretty good review on his Instagram story after it had dropped.
We both really fucked with it. We were hyping it up in the Broken River group chat. We were like, "Yo, True Detective actually is pretty tight this season, just based off the first episode." I liked the shitty CGI. I liked the random. I thought it felt kind of Japanese in a way, actually, and
Hmm.
that was what I said. I was like, "This feels kind of like a Japanese show." And then second episode on, I was like, "Nope." And I didn't thug it out. I didn't finish it. I was like, this is terrible. I take back everything I said.
It
All
ends in
my
a
posts.
very Yeah, just delete all the posts. It ended in a very Avengers Endgame sort of way where they brought all the female superheroes together
Okay.
to beat Thanos. It
That's
was
so
like all
funny.
the women in the town got together to kill every scientist, which maybe you could like interpret as being, oh wow, based in red pilled. Maybe, I don't know, because they were doing some sort of sneaky operations with the water to make people hallucinate.
Oh.
So that was the ending, and Jodie Foster and the MMA fighter partner didn't ever get their hands dirty. They were like, yeah, we could kill the bad guy, or we'll lose our sense of self if we do that. So let's just let him go. And then the town of women wind up killing all the bad guys. So it happily resolves itself. Perfect.
Just feed
So
them
so
to the
if yeah.
broads.
Yeah, no responsibility from the main characters, just other women took care of it.
Hmm.
Great. That's just as good
And
as, the Yellow King, That's just as good as the
well, the Yellow
mystery of
King
the
was just a bacteria virus in the water. Don't you know that? There was no
Mhm.
killer. There's no demons. The space shit you saw at the end of
Yeah.
Cole was hallucinating. It was just that he had a stomach
Yeah.
bug. That was it.
Yeah. There's no Cthulhu, it was diarrhea. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Got it.
And they
so
brought Cole's dad into it too, and he was like a Bob from Twin Peaks style character, where he's just, oh, I'm hanging in the snow. It's black and white,
So
60
embarrassing.
frames per second, hair moving. Cool. All right.
I can't stand that shit that's
uh
obsessed with itself. Yeah, Night Country, it fell apart so like catastrophically because of that like self-referential shit that constantly feels like, oh, I can tell that somebody wrote this after watching season 1 of True Detective
Yeah.
and being told that their pre-existing story has
but
to now be True
but
Detective.
but that's the thing that I don't understand, right? Because the before that season came out, that Night Country or whatever it's called, it was all about how this is our show and we're gonna do our thing and this is gonna be different and this is new and look at these creators that we got, blah, blah, blah. And then you have to tie it to the other ones because you're not good enough to come up with a good season without having to force elements from the season that everyone likes to maybe get some type of sympathy from your shit season. Like that sucks so much because the other seasons, I feel like they're in the same universe, but there's not a blatant, oh, hey, remember Russ Cole? This is his dad. Isn't that spooky? That's his dad. Just fuck off. You know what I mean? Like it's so
Yeah.
creatively just like
And you
how
and
do
you
you
don't
even
even get
hire
Russ.
someone?
You don't even get Russ' dad as a real character. He's just an apparition. Who do you get? You get his elderly fuck buddy. She's gonna carry the torch for Russ Cole and hang out with Jodie Foster, who is, by the way, a straight woman. And that MMA fighter, she's a straight woman too. Come on, who the fuck are you
Yeah,
fooling?
Oh,
So
it's just
yeah.
here's the thing: is I think before Nick Pizzolatto parted ways with HBO, he had mentioned in passing he wanted to do, I guess, like an all-star season of True Detective where you'd bring all the detectives together or whoever survived, I guess. And that idea was in the air because in season 3 you get a little news clipping about Rust and Woody Harrelson's character, and that was supposed to maybe set up where things were possibly going to go with a future season. And he was maybe considered too difficult to work with. Something happened there. And I think they shit canned him. So they brought her in and were like, listen, we kind of want to build some connective tissue with whatever the new season's going to be and these old seasons. Why don't you figure that out? I have a feeling that was more of a mandate than an active choice on her part. But maybe it was both. I don't know. Either way, it didn't work.
And yeah, no, I could see that because a lot of studios seem to be all about whatever kind of IP. Where's the IP? Where's the IP? It's like it. I mean, the title is True Detective. You could just continue on. It's going to be
Hmm.
tied to
it,
the other seasons. You don't have to call back or reference anything.
it also killed that franchise, I'm sure, right? I don't think
Big
anyone's
success, most watched season. So she's back for season 5. Probably Jodie Foster and whatever her name is back as well. They'll just act like the first 3 seasons. Yeah, it was an anthology for that, but now it's Night Country. This is what the series is now. So
great.
Yeah, welcome to
Oh.
Night Country, bitch.
It's
I
one less
can't
show to
wait.
watch, I guess. Yeah.
The
Yeah, HBO's
dialogue
really falling apart.
does make you appreciate Euphoria and shit like that though. Because oh my god, the dude, the MMA fighters bitch guy.
Oh, Joe, what's his name? He's actually a really good actor, but he plays like a little cock in this one. The guy with the mustache, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What's
John
his name?
Hawks. John
John Hart.
Hawks.
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
he's
he
great.
wasn't he wasn't the MMA
Oh
fighter's
no,
boyfriend.
yeah, yeah. He was
Oh,
Jodie Foster's sort of bitch.
Oh,
Not her boyfriend
Yeah,
either, but like the
ex partner, but it was
yeah.
implied that she kind of fucks everybody or so. I don't know. She was a slut on Night Country. She was fucking the teacher who was the Doctor Who. Man, that was some
yeah,
hot, steamy sex.
that's who you get. Jodie, 65-year-old Jodie Foster is your hot cop that you get. That's
Isn't
sexing
it
up
hot
everyone
when
in
these
Alaska.
60-year-old women fuck guys like they're pit bulls? Isn't that great? She's just fucking
Yeah,
pinning him to the wall and thrusting her dry vagina onto him repeatedly. Cool. That's what I'm tuning into True Detective for. Is that?
yeah. Yeah, everyone remembers that Woody Harrelson and Alexander Daddario scene from season one. It was very popular on the internet when it first came out. I'm sure everyone's just searching up that Jodie Foster sex scene just as much
Yeah.
as they did that scene.
Well,
Glad it
yeah,
bringing sexuality back to
it
True
fucked
Detective.
up the Pornhub results whenever, you could just type True Detective and now it's just this
Hmm.
this Eskimo uh, boxer chick.
Fully, fully clothed older woman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sports
Well,
bra.
I think that first episode starts with that, where she goes to visit his vaguely Latin soy boyfriend at his cabin, and she pins his wrists down, and he's like, uh, I'm gonna come. And then she like rides it out and fucking gets that nut out of him, because she's the boss.
She's the
Nice.
boss. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So,
It is. Yeah. Moral of the story. Scientists are wrong, but magic isn't real. It was all a hallucination. Uh,
Yep.
mhm.
cops
Stomach
should
virus.
don't have to take. They're heroes who don't have to take any responsibility. Women rape too. Uh, and also they're the best. Yeah.
And the
Very,
rape is
very.
okay because he's a man, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
The
not
raping
actually,
men.
yeah.
It's all
It's not like
good.
rape. It's just like kind of frowned upon.
Worst bit of dialogue ever was in that ice house whenever the soy boyfriend is like, I want to know more about you. I said out loud when I saw that. I said no man ever. This is this is not a conversation.
Yeah, there's nothing redeemable about this season. And I watched every single episode. I was like, this just gets worse and worse, but here I am. I'm tuning in. And that was very, I regret that since it has been renewed and it was such a big success. It's just, they could not avoid the temptation to be obvious at every turn. And they made essentially what played out like a very simplified dumb version of that first season in the snow. And it had everything going for it in terms of the aesthetic, the location, the
Mhm.
cat. Well, the MMA fighter, we can do without her. I don't think she was as bad as people will say, but she definitely is
I
not an
think under
actress
better
first and foremost.
direction, yeah, I've no idea. I've never seen her in anything else. I think under better direction, if she's a good like
She
she
was
had an
in
interesting look at least.
yeah, she was in a movie that came out this year called Asphalt City that starred Sean Penn and Ty Sheridan, and she plays a junkie who's giving birth to a baby and decided to shoot up during labor. And the baby is fucked up as a result of it. Sean Penn tries to snuff out the baby and fails to and then gets fired. She's pretty good in that movie, but her role obviously is not as complex or as beefy as True Detective Night Country. But she's a hell of a lot better in that 10 minutes or whatever she's in.
So I've been watching a lot of older HBO classics. Like I finished The Sopranos for the first time. Greatest show ever. Uh I'm watching Boardwalk Empire. Not too long ago, I watched The Wire and Deadwood for the first time ever too. So like those shows are obviously like that's a golden era for a reason. That was just straight like nuts on the table.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of nuanced, complex characters. I wouldn't consider Euphoria on that level of nuance, but I at least appreciate the the balls of Sam Levinson and the style. If we're not going to get nuance, because I think it's too flat on purpose, it's a show full of archetypes. It's not really about, complex characters on you know, some of them are more layered than others, but um it is a show at least with style and that feels like its own world. You get hypnotized into it. It's not this constant like it amazes me that it's tweeted about so much, it's memeified so much. Like I think
Mhm.
Levinson is a genius for knowing how to create memes with his work. It's that impresses me because I don't feel like watching it like this is I never think, oh yeah, I'm watching this show by Sam Levinson. I'm just hooked into it. I'm just hypnotized by it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think this is, it doesn't have to be on the level of a Sopranos or a Deadwood or Boardwalk Empire, even. I think this is just kind of the modern rendition of what we had as a television staple for so many decades, which is the nighttime soap. You would get Dallas, or in the 1980s, maybe it was like Beverly Hills 90210. And I think this is just a much more sophisticated version and also crazier version of that. And it fills that void extremely well. Um, when you don't have too many other series that are really operating in that space or certainly taking any risks, I think you get shell programs of that on like CW or maybe even on the HBO Max app, for like teen dramas that are very made for 15-year-old girls and then also like 60-year-old moms. For some reason, TV shows like that also appeal to like the same reality TV demographics. Like who watches Big Brother? Teenagers and old ladies
You.
Yeah.
because they
All right.
both love drama. They love the
Yeah.
story. So this kind of gives something that feels like a good proper hybrid between the two where you have art but also this is a teen soap essentially.
Mm.
And it doesn't try to be anything more than that. It's just Sam Levinson flexing his creative muscles and you can find that in his other work as well.
Do you I don't know if you guys are familiar with um God damn it, what was the British show that was also like coming of age
Only Fools
teenagers?
and Horses.
No, that was very popular and it had like a similar vibe to this, but British, and then they tried to remake it in the States without taking any risks, and it failed
Oh, I
completely.
know what you're talking about. What was it? Not
Uh,
Misfits. It was
no, it's God damn it, kids,
Skins.
children, skins. That's the
Skins.
one. Yeah.
Kids
Okay.
Children was my favorite show growing up. I
Kids,
loved
children.
Kids Children on the BBC.
It's something like that. I feel like this took that and raised it even like a level because that show was popular for that, for taking risks and showing a more real, I guess, depiction of like teenage life in the UK, which is why when they try to bring it back to the or to bring it to the United States, and then they couldn't push the boundaries as much as you were allowed to do in the UK. That show failed horribly, but I feel like this one um, is able to touch all of those topics and push as far as he did, while also having its own distinctive visual style. So it's like an elevated version of the Skins, I would say. Um,
Mhm.
but that show came to mind while watching it, just because at least thinking back, yeah, the past 20 years, that's probably the most successful when it comes to having people talk about it. I think when it was coming out, I remember there was a lot of chatter when that show was on the air, uh, and uh, and it reminded me of how it would push boundaries like this show did. It's just this one is just a lot better shot and directed, I think.
I think it
Yeah,
is as
I completely
simple,
agree.
and I think it's as simple as having sex and nudity. With like for real, because I've been thinking about this a lot just because it seems like a common thread and such a hot button on the both sides, the woke and trad, whoever, they're like anti-sex and nudity for whatever reason.
Mhm.
One, because the actors are uncomfortable, they're working people, you got to protect, this is wrong to just exploit their bodies. And then the other is like, this isn't necessary, tell me how a sex scene is necessary. And
Yeah,
it's like,
it's not Christian.
well, especially with Euphoria, it's necessary because it's teenagers. And how are you gonna be convinced that you're in a show, you're in a story, and you're not gonna be taken out of because we're gonna go there. And I think like I mean that for the sex and nudity and them supposed to be teenage characters, but that applies to the attitude of the whole thing. It's just like, yeah, we're gonna go there. And that's
Hmm.
part of what keeps you hooked. And it's like a really simple thing that, like I said, watching like classic golden era TV lately, it used to just be common. So it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's we're trying to entrance you. We're trying to make you lose yourself in the story. We're trying to, we're not trying to make you remember like, hey, it's okay, it's just a show. No, we're gonna go there. We're trying to make you forget that you're watching something.
Mhm.
And I think I've been wondering like, why is everything that's good so full of naked people? Like, why is that a common? It comes from that attitude, I think, of like, yeah, we didn't give a shit. Oh, let's make sure they're comfortable. No, take off your clothes.
Yeah, we're gonna tell
Yeah.
you the story how we want to tell it with all the, ugliness that comes with, and also, all the sexuality and all that. I think when you remove those aspects and you still try to tell a raw, real story, it takes away from it because then it's just that's part of it, especially if you're trying to push boundaries and you're able to get away with things worse than nudity, violence wise. So the fact that nudity is seen, or sex scenes are seen as like this negative thing where they could elevate the material by not taking you out of it by removing it, because a lot of the
Mm.
times when you get a sex scene and the sex scene is like they're all clothed and they're humping and that's it, and it's just like, oh well, this two dirtbag characters, that's how they have sex. That's kind of, so it kind of takes you out of what you were supposed to be. But this show does just a really good job of just like, well, we're gonna show you the ugly and the pretty and what it is, and this is just how it is. So just deal with it yourself. And that's the best type of creator, I think, where you just have an idea and this is how I want to show you what this is, and I don't care about if you get upset or not. That's up to you. But this is how I want to show the thing, and the fact that HBO allowed him to do that, I think it's also great because it could be that some creators are also restricted with what they can use, and that will be, I don't know if that will be worse, or if the creator just being too scared to put nudity is worse than being forced to do it.
Do you guys think that for all the flack that the show got over the sex, do you even think that there's anything that's especially gratuitous though about any of the sexual interactions? Because I feel like it was pretty baseline for what you would come to expect from the late 20th century in terms of
Mhm.
any sort of sex scenes. I didn't think there was anything especially like, whoa, I can't believe they went there. It's not fucking Barry Keoghan slurping cum out of the tub drain like in Saltburn. You didn't get
Right.
anything like that. The worst of it is just Jacob Elordi's father, Nate, which you don't even really
Mm.
see what he gets up to in terms of like the illegal of it, but um, his character's dimensionality and that dark side to him, which comes full circle in the second season, Hans, where he decides to abandon his family and humiliate himself drunkenly in front of them. Because they start to set him up in one episode as like, well, he did illegally film Jules, who is a minor, but he's sympathetic too because once upon a time he was in love. He was in love with this favorite trope of yours, Hans, the best friend who's not just a best friend. He's actually
Oh
got
yeah,
gay feelings for him. We talked about this
of
on our
course.
Challengers episode. Of course, they had to make it
Can't
that,
have
and they
can't have a
started fucking, and
body.
it was a
Why
very
would you have a you don't have a best friend? No, you just have a body that if the possibility is there, he's gonna suck your dick. That always
right.
happens with your bodies.
And
It's
it
just
is a pretty challengers-esque situation where it's like, yeah, we both have girlfriends, but then we're also kind of like fucking each other, that thing. So, but then that kid goes off to school or whatever, and he's heartbroken, and he's dancing in a bar with the guy at the very end, and Then he goes back to the bar as an adult and again humiliates himself, gets drunk, and is tossed out, and then goes home and is like, "Yeah, hey, sons, wife, I'm a fag. I'm out of here." And then he leaves, and then lives in a house with a bunch of gay guys. And then
The
the police
dad?
get
We're
called
talking
on
about the
him.
dad,
Yeah, the
right?
dad, the
Yeah.
dad,
Yeah.
the father. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't expecting the story to follow him that much, but I guess
oh
I
yeah,
guess that was a
he
big
he pisses in his dining room too while they're all watching him. He just pulls out his dick and
Pulls
starts
his dick.
pissing on the
Yeah,
floor.
another
yeah.
dick scene.
Yes.
Uh,
It's
Yeah,
another
it's
it's an
inescapable.
Exorcist reference in Euphoria. That's weird. I was not expecting that at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of same as Exorcist, right? It was like a gay sexual awakening
They
metaphor,
get
and
together. Yeah, he's wearing a
Yeah.
robe. He's just pissing in front of
Yeah.
his wife. Yeah.
yeah, a straight homie story. That's really something that's lacking, and the that
Right?
hopefully Mass State Lottery can fill that void. I-
Nope.
Sorry about that. No,
No, from what I've
you're
heard,
furthering.
Let me tell
Yeah.
you, maybe not this one, maybe the next one. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe the
we're
next
kind
one.
of
Maybe we'll retcon it and just a couple of straight bros hanging out. Maybe it
do
was
another
just
quick
crafty
edit.
misremembering. Yeah,
Another
it'll
another
just be
quick
another
edit.
4 years. Yeah, let me just cut out all the
yeah.
gay stuff. That would
Just
take twice as long.
send me the
So
MP4s. It'll be the agitator cut. The
yeah, I'll give it to you. You can re-edit it and release it for me.
The
yeah,
straight cut,
So
the Master Lottery straight cut,
the
the
straight cut.
body's
yeah,
cut.
Hey,
the
David
buddy's
and
cut.
I are tight as two grown men could ever be, but if he ever tried to suck my dick, I'd have to shoot him in the face. Like, no.
What do you mean? What do you mean you're gonna be sharing a beer, just watching football, and then you just smile at each other, just like, oh my God, I've known him for so long, and I didn't realize that his lips are so juicy. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, what? I hate that shit. I hate that that's every modern movie now, where it's just you can't just have two guys being friends. It's just why just hey, we enjoy each other's company. We're doing nothing. We're not talking about anything. We're just sitting there watching something. Oh, guess what? I'm hard. What? Like if that was to happen in real life, it's just like, huh? You wouldn't sit there like, well, man, no. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Fuck, put it
Yeah,
away.
I remember when we were shooting MSL, Jerry got hard, and we were all like, I think we got to go to the bank. See you, Jerry. You give people space when that happens. It's a natural
Mhm.
occurrence. You know what movie doesn't have
Yeah.
that is Snack Shack. Snack Shack is just a good old wholesome throwback with two teenage boys, best friends, and they're actually competing over a girl, but it never gets gay, not for a second. So there you go. There's your alternative to the dad from Euphoria fucking a minor on tape and then telling his family he's gay.
To
Snack
make
shack.
him sympathetic. That's got to be a
My
troll, though.
heart
I feel
ached.
like Levinson knows he's trolling with that kind of shit. I think
Yeah,
where he's
of
like,
course.
"Hey, the gay guy you're gonna root for, here he is destroying his family and pissing in front of
Yeah.
his kids."
Yeah, it's such a great turn to start with for like the female audience, I think, especially watching that, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's not his fault. He acts this way and secretly records people and keeps a library of that stuff, and his son found it." And then it ends in like the least sympathetic manner possible, where you're not even like, "Yeah, you tell him." It's just like you just destroyed everybody's life in this home. It'll never be the same now. So you fucking for what? To go live in a warehouse with a couple of like catty, artsy gay guys who don't even like you, they just
Just
want your money.
just go. You don't have to humiliate everyone. Just fucking go, you homo. Like just go. Like why do you have to humiliate your family? Do you know uh the what's the Hunter Schafer character
Jules,
name?
Jules.
Jules. She was right then, because on the season one, the Jacob Elordi character chokes her when she says, "Oh, you're just like a fag, like your dad, or you and your dad are just a couple faggots," or something like that. And I guess it was a premonition to season two
Oh
when
yeah.
he goes, full circle.
He
Yeah.
goes from bi to full blown flaming homosexual. So that's the character arc you're missing out on. Jacob Elordi's Nate character has, I think, the most complex Just he's just the most complex all around. While being, you can sum him up to just being evil, but I don't think he is evil. I think he's just so fucked up from his horrible father and home life, and probably just
Yeah.
being a spoiled rich kid. Because it's kind of set that his dad has some particular sway in the town. You know, they always sell the chili at the carnival, and that's you know
Yeah.
whatever. Um,
Won 6 years in a row, the chili cook-off. Yeah. So
yeah,
there's
that gives
someone
you
in the
power
town.
in any town
Yeah.
I would know of
Yeah.
anyway. So he's got all of these dimensions to his character and how he was raised and what he was raised into that turn him into this very rotten villain of the series. But I feel like he definitely has moments as well where you're kind of hoping that he can see the light and improve himself and not just be a despicable human being. And the Sydney Sweeney character in the second season is kind of like an opportunity for his redemption where she's just like clearly a bimbo who's way more tailored to that sort of guy than a Maddie. Maddie seems a little too female alpha. She's going to do things her way. She's not going to be disrespected. The family doesn't
Mhm.
like her anyway.
Well,
But
I mean, she's
th-
Latina. She's
yeah, of course,
like,
right. So yeah, naturally. So having the Sydney Sweeney character is like, yeah, this is actually a perfect fit on paper. This can definitely work. But what winds up happening is he just kind of makes her toxic and
Yeah, if
crazy
he
and
wasn't
depressed when he doesn't talk to her,
if he
which
wasn't
is
a
also like
monster, that
real
would be
life.
great. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like he would be a great couple if he wasn't so fucking evil because of everything you
Yeah.
just said. Yeah.
I do. Yeah, his he does have some warranted sympathy though, drawn out in the second season. Maybe starting, nah, I think really starting in the second season where you you see, I think he's the most authentic high schooler in the show because it's nothing but raging hormones and these
Hmm.
dramatic like flat. It makes sense that he's in football too because you know every successful high school athlete is constantly like you're gonna, isn't he in football or was that just
Yeah, quarterback. Yeah.
yeah
No,
yeah
yeah, he
yeah
was.
Yeah.
yeah okay. And
Captain of the team.
you know they're all hyped up about their future, about how, like everybody's, you know, all these grown people are in their ear about what your future is going to be and this and that, and you know, and so it's just chaos in the brain of this already traumatized kid who's been watching his dad's porn since he was a
Right.
child, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
is maybe gay but not, maybe not, and then is mad that
I
he
can't
might
tell
be.
if, yeah, I can't tell if it's like his actual sexuality or if he's got some sort of, I hate my dad, I hate my dad, I'm gonna be like my dad, I'm gonna be better than my dad, and that might be what's driving him too. But it's also important to keep in mind that this character is supposed to be only 18 years old or so. It's not like he's irredeemable. Like he does some pretty horrible stuff, but I don't know if he's irredeemable. We'll see. He does like he's not somebody who I think is necessarily doomed. Like Ashtray, when you're when you kind of get a sense of what that character's about and how he was raised in the second season, it's like that character has one fate and there's
Oh
no
yeah.
deviating from that course.
Yeah,
And
they
he
just
nukes it by the end
shortcutted
of it.
that. Yeah, they just
Yep.
shortcutted
Yeah.
that. That was gonna happen no matter what. That kid was
Yeah.
Tony Montana.
Hmm.
Like 100%.
What is the situation that prompts that? Refresh my memory. There's somebody who's trying to rat out Fez. If I remember, he's got a wire on him. There's a situation like that, and Ashtray kills the guy. He cranks it to like a level 10 when it's just like get him out of the house, basically. What do you remember what the situation there was?
Yeah, the Fez is the one wearing the wire, isn't he? And he's trying to
Mm,
play or
I
no,
think it's
maybe
that there's a girl who's brought in who's staying with Fez, and she tips Fez off that hey, this guy's a rat. He's trying to set you up
that's
for
right. Yeah.
something, and I can't remember what the something is.
Yeah. No, I'm remembering now. Yeah, the skeezy, the yeah, the junkie
Hmm.
slut, and then that just he has a rat face even. That guy's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's a Fed's wet dream. Uh yeah, he's in there with a wire, which Ashtray and Fez might, yeah, I don't think anybody realizes he's wearing a wire, but the chick is trying to tip Fez off, and then Ashtray comes in and just like bashes the shit out of him with a hammer, and
Yep.
then yeah, cops all come bursting in. Ashtray goes full Rambo, whipping out all the guns in the house, holds himself up in the bathroom commando style, and Fez is trying to be like, no bro, this isn't cool, this isn't right, just come out, this is gonna end real bad, just get over your gangster bullshit and come out the fucking bathroom right now. um while he's on his way to go and take flowers to Maud Apatow at her play and everything, and uh so getting like extra dramatic and sentimental with it. um I mean, they have a great hallway shootout that ends in them blowing a 12-year-old's head off.
They really did not hold back. And I love that Ashtray is like, all right, I surrender, just so he could kill one cop. One cop, like
I,
he clearly was not thinking ahead. He just blew the fucking guy away, and then they all unload on Ashtray in the tub. It doesn't matter. He's a child. He's dead
yeah,
meat.
I forgot that's how they got that close to him finally too, was he just plays dead underneath a cop, like underneath a body, and
Yeah.
then because he's taking one out with him, and he
Hmm.
just plays dead in there. They finally get into the bathroom. He rolls the dude over and shotguns the dude down the hallway, and then just
Yeah.
blam right in the kid's face. I was like, holy shit, what is this show?
I'm very curious to see what they do with the upcoming third season. I saw that the mom, Zendaya's character's mom, Rue's mom, was complaining that they haven't started shooting yet and she has to pay her rent or something. The New York Post keeps doling this article out every so often. She's pissed at
Get a
Zendaya for
fucking
taking on
job.
movie roles.
Get a job, bitch. What the fuck?
So I was also really confused. So I watched seasons 1 and 2, and then I watched the specials, and I was like, are they alluding that Rue and Jules got back together? What's happening here? Hey, they've been sitting at this diner for a real long time now. What is he doing here? It's 40 minutes in. They're just sitting and talking. And I realized, oh, these specials take place between the seasons. They don't take place after the seasons. And this was during COVID. So everyone's just situated and they're not going to be exploring any other locations. All right. And I wasn't as big of a fan of the specials. I did think the first one was better because of Coleman Domingo, who's such a great actor. He's fantastic. He's introduced in the first season. He does have probably a bit bigger of a part in the second season, where he becomes, Rue's sponsor, and he goes and visits the house, and he's talking straight to her little sister and to the mom about what to expect from her addiction. And then the second special with Jules talking to her therapist didn't really do it for me. I wasn't a fan of that one so much. I
No.
think it you had a great. I mean, not to dismiss Hunter Schafer's acting. I think Hunter Schafer's a great actress, but it just was not a captivating back and forth in the same way that lights out, that Zendaya and Coleman Domingo, I guess, were for that first one.
Yeah, no, the second special, definitely. The first one in the diner didn't take me as far out of it because he does those single location things a lot, and Coleman Domingo is great. The second one is when I realized it was, oh, this is just two characters in a room, and it's just gray walls. It's a therapist's office, and it's saying all the shit about Hunter Schafer's character, about the character of Jules, that we've been watching. You're seeing
Yeah.
Jules in a therapist's office talking about how she's trans and all the feelings about being trans, and I'm like, we've been watching you go through this. We don't need to hear any of this. Like, this is stupid.
If I remember,
I thought this show handled the trans shit expertly until this lame special.
if I remember right, maybe why they did this second special is because Hunter Schafer co-wrote it, and she didn't co-write the origin to her character when that was introduced in season one. I think that could be it. If I remember right, I feel like I remember seeing Hunter Schafer as a co-writer in the credits for that one.
Yeah, her name did pop up in the credits for sure. I do remember that. And that, yeah. So, meaning also not just to like blame her for it sucking, that could have been them wanting like, hey, give us some, give some authentic kind of feelings to this or whatever because of the subject matter she's talking about. But it's just an element of the plot we didn't need because it's like yeah we know like oh I thought you were born a girl I had no idea what like the fuck out of here we've been watching this what are you doing.
I would love the Euphoria fandom to clip this part and us saying that Sam Levinson handled trans issues a hell of a lot better than Hunter Schafer did on Euphoria. I think that would be great.
Well, that you just said is the part that they could clip because I feel like we kind of I don't think we had the
We
the
skirted
sound
around it and then
bite.
I just
We
put it into words here. Hans, do you want
yeah.
to repeat it back real quick?
Yeah, let's get it in
Yeah.
Hans's voice first.
Yeah, Hans, what do you think about trans issues?
I think they need to go back to where they came from. Go back to your country. Go back to your home country, where your planet. Yeah, I don't know. Oh,
he said safely in his Costa Rican home.
yeah.
Actually, you know what?
That's
We
not
only
safe here. We have like marches and shit. Like you can't be homophobic here anymore
yeah, you'll have
because
like
of it.
Oh,
monkeys with machetes that you got to watch out
There
for.
was a there was a thing. Well, that's without, you know, without the
That's just a
transition. That's
normal
just
day.
regular life. That's just that's just a Sunday. Yeah, we have marches and during Pride Month, like there's a bunch of events downtown with people
oh,
blocking
right.
the
It's
streets
Pride
and
Month.
shit.
This is the
So
perfect show for Pride Month, isn't it?
yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's the title of the show, Celebrating Pride, Revisiting Euphoria.
Yeah, we'll put a rainbow on that on the icon for Spotify and iTunes.
Hell yeah.
Happy Pride, yeah.
Happy Pride, guys. I had bisexual lighting for almost the entirety of the episode until my little panel light here died out. I can't believe though they're doing parades down there, Hans. I thought it was way less, you know, mind
It was.
virus.
It was. It
What
used to be,
happened?
but the internet the
Oh,
internet allowed people to get together and like not just be underground, I guess. So people are bolder and more willing to do whatever, which is fine. I don't care. Like I don't even live near downtown, so do whatever you have to do, I guess, case. But yeah, it's a thing now here. And I think in most Latin America, it's also a thing. Like you have to go to what, maybe Eastern Europe to find to find accepted homophobia and transphobia and all that. I don't think that's
well,
accepted anywhere on
Uganda.
this side
You
anymore.
go to
yeah,
Uganda.
yeah. You got to go to Africa.
Uh,
Africa's the last holding ground for that. But we'll
yeah.
see. I read some article today that was very like doomsday from mainstream press, which is like, the far right won every election in every European country today. I was like, whoa, okay. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. We'll see if that does anything. I don't think so. I think it might be too late to reverse course on this ship. But at least we get things like Euphoria to watch and enjoy.
Yeah. At least we get that.
um,
Hans is the only
When's
I've been on my I've been on some old man shit about really despising any kind of anti-American sentiment. But Hans is the only one who gets a pass in my book for one, he's not in this country. And it I'd had nothing to argue about on one of y'all's last episodes whenever you're like, why does everybody keep trying to get me over there? I don't want to come to your country. It sounds terrible. I was like, damn.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against the States as long as you don't try to force me to move there for no reason other than to be around, which is what Kenny wants me to be. Is just like, so you can be here.
Yeah.
It's just like, for what? So that I can, yeah, stay in that home, and I can't leave the house because if I leave, I'll get arrested. That sounds so much fun, Kenny. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what kind of life he thinks I have here, where it's just suffering. We're gonna rescue you like a little African baby that we pay $3 a day to so you can eat. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm fine.
This is the third episode in a row. This has come up as a topic of we got to get
Yeah.
Hans out of Costa Rica. He's got to see how great America truly is. And he did. He bought so many snacks when he was in America. It was
Yeah.
remarkable.
I got
He started
I
building his own 6 packs of beer, and it made the
yep.
cashier confused.
Yeah, I didn't know you couldn't just pick and choose. I was like, oh, I want one of these. Oh, this one's new. I've never seen this one before. And then she was like, what are you doing? uh yeah, I got diabetes because of all the snacks that I ate up there. I got the real American experience, 2 trips, snacks, and now I have diabetes. So I think I'm good.
You
I'm
physically
all right.
converted. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The power of the American grocery store.
It's truly the
Yeah.
American dream. So, this series Euphoria, just to say a final word on it, because we did cover both seasons, but there is actually a blueprint that this series followed, and that was Euphoria, the Israeli teen drama from 2012 to 2013. Kelby, have you had any interest? Because I know the answer is no, Hans. Kelby, have you had any interest in checking out the Israeli Euphoria?
I just found out about it today when I was like just freshening up on whatever. I saw that based on, now Google's handy AI just tells me
Mhm.
everything I could possibly want to know in one little paragraph. And
Did you know you can eat a rock a year and it's recommended? That's what I learned from Google's AI.
did you know that cockroaches are named such because they crawl up into your cock at least 8 times a year and go completely unnoticed? You could
Yeah,
have
don't worry about it. It's
roaches
normal.
just crawling up in your cock when you sleep. uh not really. I mean, I'm interested to see what the hell it looks like because I can't imagine it matches the vibe of Levinson's all that much.
No, they should do a revival with Hamas as the bad guy. That's what I think. I like the character names though. I just pulled up the Wikipedia. So Rue is renamed Hoffit. Kind of reminds you of
Nice.
Jimmy Hoffa, the Jack
Hmm.
Nicholson movie where he played Jimmy Hoffa and
Yeah.
somebody he went missing or somebody went missing.
Nate is
And
what
in this
movie?
one,
No, what's his name? Shuli? What's his name? Shlomo?
well, we're getting there. But this
Okay.
this version, Hoffit is not just a drug addict; she's a cutter. So it's very 2013, very
Mm.
2012
Okay.
Tumblr. Makes sense. Okay, we
Oite.
have Rayanne, a 16-year-old, murdered the year before the events of the series, based on the 2004 murder of Rayanne Levy. They left that one out. So I guess no one gave a shit to take the dead Israeli person that was based on and implemented into the U.S. show. Okay. Uh, we have a character named Kino. Kino is
Wow.
the childhood friend of the murdered, and his parents are in Shanghai. So that's Kino. We have Osher Gimple. He buys a sex doll. Um,
Yeah.
Apparently, there's more rape and HIV in the Israeli one, is what I'm getting. Oh, there's also, you do have the diversity higher. You have Dudu, a 17-year-old Arab teenager, an aspiring
No,
veterinarian.
no way, no way that a show that's based in Israel named their Arab character Dudu. That's so funny.
I want to
That is,
watch it. I want to watch it.
oh man, it's pretty fucked up what they're doing in Gaza, but I'll give them a pass just because their name is character Dudu. That's so funny. Hey, Dudu. Hey, shit, come here. Hey, turd. That's great. Yeah.
There is a ashtray equivalent here in uh, the character Tomer Samigura, who is an
Mhm.
Orthodox Jew who murders the murderer of the girl who's left out of Euphoria, the HBO series. So he's more of a hero, I guess, in the Israeli Euphoria.
I thought he was the hero of American Euphoria,
Of
honestly.
course, yeah.
But he was just the closest I had to like relate to.
Yeah, no doubt. He should get his own spinoff. They should give him a special in the meantime. They should do two more and make it him and then Zendaya's mom just to shut her the fuck up.
It's already got like a music video vibe. You don't need to have an honest, like, here's the, more of the backstory of Little Ashtray besides him just eating cigarettes as a baby. Uh, you could go full, like, over the top with it. Just make a gangster film starring Little Ashtray.
I think they could absolutely do that. Um, has this inspired either of you to check out The Idol?
I watched The Idol.
You watched it?
Yeah.
What did you think of that compared to Euphoria?
Hard to, I mean, hard to compare because Euphoria, it has a very similar style. It made me think, okay, Levinson is a sort of auteur type who, I could pick up. He makes a couple more things, and I'm gonna start picking up. Oh, this is Levinson-esque. Uh, Completely different story. I felt like, if Euphoria is going for that nighttime soap feel, The Idol definitely felt like 90s exploitation thriller B movie. Uh
Mm.
Felt like it was leaning into that like movie that you rented for like the one that they reference in the show, the Hitchcockian Michael Douglas movie. Um
Uh, um, uh, fuck. Um,
I think it
Cruel
was
Intent. No,
Wonder
no.
Boys. No?
uh
What is that?
where she the
Glenn Close movie where he
Fatal
risks everything
Attraction?
for an ugly
Fatal
woman. That one.
Attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um yeah, it felt like that. Even
Yeah,
more
I think
so
that's a
after
pretty
they watch it in the show. I was like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay, this is what they're
That's an
doing.
apt comparison. It kind of feels like, to me, The Idol reads as like the evil sister of Euphoria. Everything's grimier. The people are probably morally worse overall. And I don't know if there's anyone who's all that redeemable at the end of that show. There's nobody you can really fully get behind and root for the same way with Euphoria, where at least when they're doing bad things or they're fucking up, you've had so much of them in different scopes that they'll still be likable to you, even if you go, oh man, how are you gonna walk this back? And then they don't walk it back or whatever. I think these characters are easier to wrap your head around and grapple to and follow the narrative arc of. Whereas the idol is just straight up bad people who they went through that already and they wound up this way. And it's all very Hollywood, it's very corporate, and there's conniving and deception and all these sorts of things that you can understand the logic of, but you can tell they would probably just be this way regardless if they were in show business or not.
I did except for Hank Azaria and
Oh, right.
Big
Yeah.
Black Chick. They're the
Yeah. Those
heroes.
are probably the closest thing to redeemable.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
The heroes who never
So,
get to save the day.
right,
Uh
right.
she is actually the worst, which I felt like Levinson was definitely leaning into the meta trolling side with the idol because he has characters straight up saying at the end of the show, everybody thought that we were doing this thing, and actually it's this, which is what he did with the show, which is like everybody, oh, it's so misogynist, and the big twist is like, oh no, she's an evil character, like
Hmm.
she's fucked up, she's the
Right.
worst of them all.
Yes, it ends with her taking back Tedros and essentially keeping him as a pet almost. In a way, they partner up, but I don't know. It's just very dark, grimy, unhealthy relationship shit. like a lot of Euphoria. And I think
Yeah.
anyone listening to this who enjoys Euphoria could probably get into The Idol and enjoy it for similar reasons.
Yeah,
It's
I did
shorter,
think it
right?
was
So I
great.
might, yeah, I might watch it.
You are
We'll give
such
it.
a liar. You're never watching that. You don't even believe what you're saying right now. I think you're just trying to be a
Fair
team player
enough.
by saying that.
Yeah, I just want to be a part of it.
I
All
just want
right.
to be one of the boys. Why do I have a
Yeah.
boner?
I think you
Hey,
would.
hey
I don't
guys.
think you would be able to palate The Idol nearly as well
Oh
as
yeah.
you did season one of Euphoria. I think you would get fed up with the characters because you seem to have like a lower tolerance for bad,
Yeah.
unrelatable people.
Yeah. Statism. I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Statism.
Uh, all right. Do we have any final thoughts maybe on Euphoria? Since I know you got a very early wake up tomorrow, Hans. It's getting late.
I think if you haven't given it a chance, give it a chance because it's not what you expect. If you're been just looking at online chatter, forget the reactions that it's been getting from people freaking out about the sexuality and all that. And I think it's a good mature show for mature people that won't be holding their pearls because they see something that is is bad on TV. You know, I think it's really well shot. I think it's mostly acted well. And I was very surprised by how much I enjoyed it. So I think if you haven't given it a chance, just give it a shot and watch it.
Yeah, I think the same thing that Hans just said. And I also think that you should be signed up in the $5 tier at Movies, a podcast about the act of cinema. Patreon.com/LowRes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the plug there. I appreciate it. And you be like me and also sign up for Agitators Patreon tier. Well, what is your link? I don't know your link off the top of my head, but you should just
Patreon.com/agitator.
perfect. Yeah, go do that. $10. And you get so much stuff from both shows. It's quite amazing. I couldn't recommend Agitator more, really. So go ahead and do that. Have you guys done a Godzilla -1 episode yet?
We haven't yet, and I
Ooh.
see that it's finally a lot more accessible.
Yeah. I was going to say, if we want to try and go on theme for a follow-up episode, I don't know how long you're winging it solo, but maybe we could do that for another crossover this summer.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. All summer, David's like, "Oh man, these hours, my back driving, man, it's killing me." I've already made fun of him where I'm like, we record at night. I don't,
Mhm.
oh, you get home at 7:30. Okay, what? But nah, it's all good. Actually, he's dead. R.I.P. Um,
Yeah, I did see that you people were mistaken. Maybe did you throw up like a black and white photo on something? It did read like he passed away.
Yeah. Yeah. His wife and me have been getting messages constantly about I just got one yesterday actually. That was like, "Oh man, this guy our babies were born at the same time." I was like, "Do none of you try calling him first? Like what the fuck?" I
This is mirroring I guess the first winner of the Bachelorette who is still with the Bachelorette. Uh so they've been together for like 20 years. He posted a photo of her on his Instagram and said something like, "I can't believe she's gone." And then everyone's like, "Oh, she's fucking dead. She died." And then the trades, I guess, we're saying, "Is she dead?" But she had just like gone on vacation, and he's bad at Instagram. He's not like an online person. So that's kind of what it feels like to me. But anyway,
Very
thank
good.
you for the plug. And this was an excellent crossover. We'll keep it Japanese next time. I want to do Godzilla -1, and I guess there's a new version of Shin Godzilla that's out that's called
Mm.
orthochromatic, and it's black and white. It's a brand new color grade. They're putting it in theaters for a very limited time, at least in New York. And they had done it last year in Japan. It's on Blu-ray now, so it'll probably be available somewhere online. But maybe we could, if that's worth checking out, I don't know. But maybe we could do something with old Godzilla.
Double feature.
No, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm game. That sounds good. All right,
Awesome.
everybody. Be
All
easy.
right, that's been movies. Thank you for listening.